Great. Welcome to this episode of Welledge pod and vlog. With me today, I have my dear friend and colleague, Dr. Dominique Hort, all the way from Lugano in Switzerland. So great to have you here.
Hello, Martin.
Yeah, and you're going to share your wisdom and part of what you're working with, because you are not only a phenomenal practitioner within chiropractic field, but you have delved deeply into all the areas of chiropractic where we work emotionally, where we work with that kind of stress, physical stress, chemical stress, and what we're going to delve into deeper today, also the electromagnetic, the geopathic stresses, and how we can enhance our bodies with the technology that has phenomenal research that you're going to share as well. So you are a great speaker, and I'm looking forward, and you're one of my dear teachers and mentors, so it's going to be great to have you on this Welledge episode.
It's great to be back in Sweden.
Although it's online.
Although it's online, I feel there.
Yeah. So, I mean, within the field of chiropractic, the originator, D.D. Palmer, he spoke about this, basically only 3 reasons why we get dis-ease, that we move away from health. There's no diseases other than that we move away from health. We spoke about that because we look at this, but other different chiropractors, they adhere to it or pay more attention to certain parts. The normal chiropractor today is more like physical stress. That's what they look at predominantly. But we know emotional stress, that is like a big thing. The thoughts we have, the things we have in our minds, and the chemical stress, which we can talk loads of. But then we have this that has risen more and more, electromagnetic smog and electromagnetic radiations. But we also have what has been all through the ages that doctors of different traditions have been paying attention to, where we build our buildings, where we sleep, how the field of the earth has different impact depending on where you are, and how the sun impacts us.
Yes, even in our chiropractic profession, our forefathers, D.D. Palmer and B.J. Palmer, when they were measuring at the beginning the spine with this special machine they called the neurokilometer, which was basically a beginning of the electromyography, basically, in a way. They were doing it underneath the earth in a special room where they wouldn't be able to be affected by all the radio waves and the electromagnetic waves of back then. And it makes me laugh.
Yeah.
When I think about how little they had, and still they were so sensitive to that. Then again, D.D. Palmer, in his first book, Science, Art, and Philosophy of Chiropractic, spoke about chiropractic being based on tone, and therefore on energy and frequency and vibration. And, thinking that they were protecting themselves from wrong readings in the spine by going underneath the earth in 1920 or who knows what, when they were basically 100 and 200,000 times less exposure to electromagnetic fields. It's just like it makes you really think of how bad we have it right now, and many people, because they are immersed in this very hot and boiling water, but like so slowly becoming worse and worse, like they're not recognizing, like the lobster, that eventually they die in it. And so I'm very, very happy to be here. I'm very happy to speak about mostly, though, not only what already many people are aware of and people maybe understand, which is the dense part of the electricity and the electromagnetic field, which what we have in our dirty electricity, in our wiring at home, or the high frequency, and not only the low frequency but a high frequency electromagnetic disturbances. All of that now has become has become natural to be at least aware of, although many people don't know how bad it is. But, I think that we need to go back to speak about one of the main main factors of our health, which was the tone, which was the vibration. Didi Palmer spoke about this universal intelligence, this unified field of information, if you want to call it that way, that was coming through us all the time, and it is within us, from which we get all the information we need for our health and for our living, basically, and how we are basically the interpreter, the people that they take these codes of life, and we transduce them into us being alive. Well, all that we used to call subtle energy, we prefer to call it natural ambient energy, because subtle has this, it feels like, oh, well, it's subtle, and it's not subtle. Like 96% of the universe is really pure information. What we see, what we call baryonic energy, what we call energy that we can touch, whether it's your phone or whatever else, or the stars or the earth, is only 4% of the universe, of the energy of the universe. Everything else is pure field of dark matter or dark energy, which is pure energy. And so that is the subtle that is actually expanding the energy of the universe. And if it is so strong to be able to expand the energy of the universe, what happened to your inner universe, and what if it is all congested? What is if you are not able to really interpret these codes or use them correctly in your body? And we are very used to this kind of talk in chiropractic, at least among certain chiropractors, because we know that if we have interference in our ability to be the right antenna for these codes, then we get sick. That's the basic of that. And when Didi Palmer, our founder, said that subluxation, which is this lock and just tensions in the spine, were coming from toxicity, meaning biochemistry, from wrong thinking, meaning emotion, or for trauma, meaning the physical part of our health. And we know from our experiences that it comes literally from the way our body then cannot maintain its own health, and then it becomes these patterns that we recognize in the body. And so we could say a lot more about that, but maybe one time we speak about that. About health. Today, let's focus on what's really, really important. Most people has forgotten, as you say, because this thing has been part of the life of the Romans, have been parts of the Romans built the streets on these ley lines where their army could have energy while walking on it. They used to make the herd go on certain fields and then analyze the kind of disease that would develop, and so they knew what to build on those things. The augurum, in Italian, inaugurate a new boat or something, comes from one of the most important people in the Roman society, which was the augurum, the person that would tell where to build the house, where to build the walls in relationship to the energy. And then with his baton, he would just activate the energy of the place and literally inaugurate it. And, we have so much of that in our tradition. And because we are so in the middle of this congestion, we don't feel those things anymore, but not because they're not there. They are there. They make us sick, literally, as you're going to see, because once we can recreate a higher order of frequency in within the space that is within and around us, all of a sudden our cells start to heal. Our cells start to have ability to heal that people get so surprised about it, and we talk about that. So absolutely, thank you for inviting me. This is important because everybody goes through that, whether they like it not, being aware or not. I mean, this is our reality, and let's be aware of it and know what to do about it.
And it's so interesting. I mean, there are people that are aware of this and become more aware of it, and getting technologies to protect or enhance one's own, and we're going to look at that. And then there's those that just look at this, that's just like bogus, or it's like pseudoscience. It's not true. But there's not so much research that it's research of the top quality that you are part of through source.
Yeah, when we founded Souls with my friend Dr. Caro Cortella, whom I work with since now 30 years, basically. Before, I used to basically send my patients when I would find something in their body that was related to something in the environment, and without telling him what I found, and then he would exactly find what I just found on the body, and so we could work like that. Eventually, we said, what about try to create the standard in the industry? What about creating research? What about explaining? Because now we start having the technology to be able to measure those things. It's like in chiropractic, many things that we used to do 80 years ago, they sounded like crazy because we had no technology to measure it. But by now, some of the research is showing how effective we are, right? And some of the other stuff that we do nowadays in chiropractic, they still consider crazy or like strange just because we don't have yet the technology to prove it. But within 10, 15, 30 years, all of a sudden, what we now consider weird is going to be basically science. Well, we try to do that with subtle energy, as I'm going to show you. But remember that even if you don't believe in subtle energy, we all work with it. Every time you enter a room and maybe some couple of people have argued in there, and you go in there and you say, wow, there's heavy energy in here, and people feel it. Or I'm next to somebody and he hasn't said a word, and I'm already attracted to that person, or I'm already repelled, and I don't even know why. I mean, you go to a place in nature, and you say, this feels great. This really feels, this is a spot that makes me, feel more at peace. And we have all these great feelings in here. And maybe we walk through a forest and it didn't happen in the rest of the forest. It happened just there. But because we do not have it in our consciousness, we don't relate these things to the field. We don't relate to the fact that we are a field of information. We don't relate that we are an electromagnetic field. We take an X-ray, and or we take a MRI and we see a picture. Well, that's the response of a magnetic field within our body, and our body modifying a magnetic field, right? I mean, we have it all the time. You go to doctors that that they use ultrasounds, or they use different things, and all of a sudden you have less inflammation. That's also energy. It's not a pill. And so let's talk about this, because this can be so helpful for so many people.
Yes, let's delve deeper.
So the story is this. As I said before, 96% plus of the universe, it's not baryonic energy that you can touch. Yet, when they studied the energy required for the universe to expand, they realized 96% of that energy required was missing. So it was not coming from, the stars. It was not coming from the things you can see. It was coming from a dark field of energy, which is this unified quantum 0 point, whatever, so many people have called it in different ways. Well, we call it natural ambient energy, something that is around you. And first concept for people to understand is not only outside of you. It's not like water. You're taking a swimming pool, you're taking a swim, and then you have water around you. When you are in this energy field, because we are mainly empty space, and I know it's kind of hard to believe we're mainly empty space, but when you go subatomic and you see the nucleus of the cell and the electron, I mean, if you expand the size of the nucleus of the proton, like to the size of a golf ball, the electron that goes around it, like everybody knows, right? We studied that in physics. It's 7 kilometers away. Everything is empty space. That's why when you take an X-ray, the X-rays, they pass straight through you, right? And then you see them in the film behind you. I mean, we are basically empty space energetically. And so when you enter a space that is completely harmonized, feeling great, it's not only you have it around, you literally have it within you. When you create a field because you're angry, because you are unhealthy, because you are in doubt, or you're in fear, or you're mentally stressed, it's not only around you, this field, right? You see somebody says, man, you feel stress, being around you. I'm just next to you and I'm already feel stressed. The guy hasn't said a word. well, that's also within you. And the same is true, you know, for the good or for the bad. And so let's expand on that and realize that there is this entire field of science that we call energetic bionomics, which is the interaction between us or the plants or the animals and the environment. Why do we have some plants that when they grow in a specific spot, you see them moving away and they may have these weird shapes, right? Or why is it that the cat always goes and sleep there and the dog always goes and sleep there? Or when you put beehives on specific spot, they grow 3 times the honey compared to not putting them in some other spots. And it has nothing to do with the dense electromagnetic field. It has everything to do with the natural ambient energy, which can be very, very healthy, and we're going to see what it means, or very congested, very entropic. The concept of entropy is the concept of chaos. The more entropy we have, the more chaotic we are. The more syntropy we have, the more coherence, higher order, the more we are actually more organized. And this has to do with everything in life. It has to do with your computer, it has to do with your health, but in relationship to subtle energy is the same thing. So we can measure that nowadays. And maybe I'm going to look for some stuff that has never been shown before outside you know, my teachings and my seminars, but you know, we have now video that can measure the way the photons move through the ether. And so you can see if the photons move in an angular way, very entropic, or if they move in a very you know, synergistic and very organized way. And that can be measured mathematically, and then to each of these functions they give a color. And so you can, for us to pictures, if an environment is very chaotic or very organized and a high order, well, then you see this different different colors and stuff. I look for it afterwards, and I'm going to show it to you. But I'm going to show you a few things for you so that you understand what we're talking about right now. Let me share my screen here and here and advance and share. Can you all see this picture?
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. So this is the company I founded with Dr. Cortella, DNA expression, because the epigenetics, what's around the cell, can influence the cell. What we're going to see in the research that we have done, that we have not done ourselves, but we committed to outside sources to be doing, and you're going to see what kind of outside sources, you know, showed how the Magma 13, which is the technology that we use, this certain amount of material that when put together in an alchemic specific percentages and treated energetically in a certain way, they become able to literally take the entropy, take the chaos of your environment within you or around you, and organize it at higher level of existence. And you're going to see what that means. So when we talk about energetic bionomics and we say, you know, what is it? Well, is this science applied to the field of life, of construction, of design, you know, that basically has to do with the way you interact with this energy field in and around you. And what we talked about before about natural ambient energies, well, those are the energies that they are really responsible for so much of our health and disease, and people don't even know it. This is Carlo Cortella, friend of mine, and he's a genius. It's just like, it's one.
Can you just say something shortly about him? Because he's not only a normal medical doctor, he's
no, he's not a medical doctor. His degree is a PhD in Endovedic psychology and Endovedic sciences, so super specialized in Vastu, which is the ancient science of working with energy way before Feng Shui in India, right? Is 4,000 years old, and is a energetic bionomic person, soon to be biologist, because he wants to publish papers, and so he wants to have a science degree recognized. So guess what? He just decided, okay, let me go back and get my biology degree at a university. That's kind of genius that he has. And he's a developer of all this science basically around it. And that, yes, we can measure with, for example, the Lecker antenna, which is one of those tools that we use to measure energy by changing the frequency of the antenna and then measuring if it's the environment, a much more modern way of people going around with little, remember how in the past they used to look for water, right? Here you can really measure the body and everything around you in a more specific way, but we can really measure the effects of the energy field on cells, for example, now because we have the tools to do it. Before I was speaking about, right, this was from the USA Today, many years ago. I mean, you have all this dark matter, this dark energy, and you know, like whatever we know that we see is only 5% or even less. You know, gas, stars, and gases. I mean, there's so little. Well, the energy literally organizes in different fields. And when you measure the frequency of the Lecker antenna, when you measure the energy, we have basically a need in every environment of the basic vital force. That's basically what we need. Our cells need this frequency just to be alive. And to tell you how bad the situation right now is, when you go and measure homes or offices or chiropractic places or anything else, you know, banks and whatever else. In the past, when you used to go and, you know, like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, when the 2.5 in the Lecker antenna was absent, the people that were measuring homes would not get into those homes. It would be like, it's already radioactive, energetically speaking. I mean, like, life is not supported there. I'm not going to be there because I do not want to even infringe on my own health. That's how bad it was. Well, nowadays, you know, you measure 100% and then you have 50%. I mean, most houses, most places, if they have any 2.5, because most of it is zero, is maybe 10%, 15%. I mean, we literally live in environments energetically that do not sustain the life of our cells. That's number one. The second frequency that we want to see in a place is called the Ett, which is the earth telluric energy, is the yin energy, is the sustaining energy of the earth, right? And that's like one of the energy that gives success to a business, for example, that gives sustenance to us when we are in a home, is what replenishes us, is the finances, is the fact of being replenished in the first and second and third chakra, all our body parts that really need that kind of sustenance. And I tell you, most places don't have it. Literally don't have it. You drain energy in it. The 12 is really the energy of is more electromagnetic, is more it's more like how you use this energy that you have inside the body. Is really organizing your mental field, is organizing your upper chakras, is organizing how you work in the environment, how you are creative, how you are communicating, how you are inventing, how you are producing, how you're using your energy. And this is one of the energy in the subtle world that is the most, for example, deranged by Wi-Fi. Anything that is dense energy, electromagnetic dense energy, so high frequency like the Wi-Fi or your mobile phone, people, right? They have a mobile phone, they says, oh, I don't want to be close to an antenna, right? And then they have their mobile phone next to them and it's just, you know, is on instead of being in airplane mode. This is going every 30 seconds or now so often going to push out high frequency electromagnetic wave to connect to the antenna. It's not the antenna that search for your phone. It's your phone that search for the antenna. So, you know, I want to be away from the antenna. Yeah, but let me have this in my pocket all day long and shooting high frequency energy. Well, high frequency energy creates entropy or chaos in your subtle energy field. So, of course, we have areas that by themselves do not have energy because of anything in the earth. For example, if you have an earth fault, like, you know, like there's a difference in constitution between an area or the other. One may be more rocky, the other one may be more muddy. And you have all those things. You may have gases like the radon, like all natural sources of entropy, natural, or like you have a stagnant water maybe 200 meters underneath your place, and that's water that is not moving, is becoming like congested, and then up, then you have above congestion in the environment. But all of this creates congestion in your subtle energy field. I mean, this is what it does. And so when you have Wi-Fi, yes, it's painful to the body, especially you are within 4 meters of the router, right? But what it does is that it creates a mess with the natural ambient energy. That's where the really true damage comes from, right? And people don't know that. And when there is a perfect equilibrium to a beautiful, I think it's 6:1 to 7:1 cosmic energy to earth telluric energy, when you have this perfect balance with the 12 and the 8, then there is a new frequency that enters, which is called the 15.3, which is this incredible, amazing energy that allows you to live at a higher order. And when that energy is supported by other energy, which we don't have time now to talk about, then we have, and we measure in the places that we are, this 17.6, which is the highest order of energy that there is. This is where a place where you live, this is as you, when you have it, that you are in full regeneration mode. This is where you are in full recuperation, detoxification mode. This is when you are really continuously building yourself to the highest order of energy. So this is what we want to see. This is what we want to have inside our body and where we live. What you have on your neck, which is called the seed, right, is one of the products of salts. It has all this energy within. And when it recognizes that you are, for some reason, next to a router because you're passing by, or you're next to a person that you're treating that is dumping emotional or mental or stress on your field just because it comes to you for healing, right? And so that's what they do, while your field gets automatically cleansed immediately, right? That's why I wear it. That's why you wear it. That's why basically most of my patients now, they all wear it. And then they come next week and says, oh, my mom tried it and if she felt so good and she stole it from me, so let me buy it again for me, that kind of stuff. And so these kind of energies are needed if you want to have a self-regenerating place, if you want to have a healthy clinic. My clinic, you can have like 20, 30 patients really working on the deepest stuff. When you come in after the last one, immediately it feels like clear, it feels pure, it feels like completely synergistically, like if nobody was there the entire day, because the place continuously clean itself. And this is what people need to understand, that either you have support from your place, or you have to do the work. And that's why sometimes you are in places and then you feel completely drained, right? You're completely drained. And then there are two other energies that we measure, which is the 5.7, which is the energy, the centripetal energy. Remember, energy it moves like in a toroidal way, right? It goes like the earth is a toroid, right? The energy goes from the south pole, goes into the center, comes out in the north, and then it moves like that. That's why we have winds. That's why we have all this movement of energy inside the earth. But everything is a toroid. When you have one cell that divides in two cells, becomes a toroid, and then it becomes two cells. I mean, everything, if you cut out an apple, you see the toroid in it. Like every single cell is a small toroid. And we are, as a sum of cells, a toroid that keeps on taking energy from the earth, this sustaining energy. It goes through the heart, hopefully the seat of the soul, where you get like all this energy gets transformed and purified, and it comes out and you use it towards the outside, and hopefully it's pure, hopefully it's synergistic, hopefully it's charismatic for the people around you, right? It's inspirational. This is how we're supposed to be. Well, imagine this field. Many people, if they have ever been exposed to the field, they maybe seen some photos of colors or stuff like that. But really the field, what it does, it continuously do that. And a chakra, for example, people know about chakra, they imagine these tubes going out. Well, a chakra is actually a toroid. Yeah. Right? Energy goes in and energy goes out. And one of the challenges with our field is anything within us that is not aligned, a subluxation in the spine, or wrong food that we ate, or wrong thinking because of something that we keep on rerunning into our mind, or something emotional that we're not healed. That's why you got to go to a chiropractor that really helps you heal those things from within, or even just if I'm passing by and there is like a router of energy, of electromagnetic field. If you would see your field, you would see instead of being center, your field would go like on the side. It would, instead of go like this, it would go like this. It literally moves from the center. You're not centered. We use all these things in the language, right? I don't feel centered. Well, I'm telling you, you don't feel centered because you literally energetically not centered. I mean, this is what it is, right? And so you can measure how many literally meters away the center of your body should be, or your home. When you have a room, the middle of the room, the middle of the two diagonal of the room should be the mundus, what the Roman used to say, these sacred spots, right? Where there is this energy that is completely organized between the earth and the sky. Well, that center may be 20 meters outside that room, literally. Yeah. And so that place is not sustaining you. That place is absolutely not helping you staying alive. If not, it's making you sick, as we're going to see from the research. And so people really need to understand, when you put, for example, the seed on, right away, these two go centered. Right? In my practice, I ask patients to take the seed out when they come in before I check them. Because otherwise, most of the things, actually, it's helping you keep them completely centered. And so I don't, quote unquote. So this is the things. And that's why when you look at my office, I have an office that is purely treated. It's called a rare place. We have this thing called a regeneration room, which is magma 13 in every wall. And it creates this perfect unified field of energy where miracles happen, literally. Not because the room does the miracle, but because you do the miracle inside that room. You get this incredible energy that is so pure and of the highest order. And because you center yourself, all of a sudden, you're able to, do things that before you couldn't do. I had people going antalgic and with low back pain, not even my patients, because people come and just do the room, even if they're not my patient. I don't take new patients. It's now 5 years. And after 50 minutes, they go out and they're straight and they have no more pain. I mean, this is the healing power of the body that we always spoke about in chiropractic to its best in a very innate express, right? And, this kid, for example, was a autistic kid. And, autistic kids, very often they have these problems with their guts and they can never really have their guts healthy, their biome, their good and bad bacteria, and that creates inflammation. That makes this inflammation in the brain, and with everything that they have going on with the brain, then a lot of things don't work. And he had Tourette syndrome, so it was all moving around and everything. And we went to his home. His mom was a doll. I mean, for 2 years, she went to this specialized center for cooking in a perfect way and for doing the perfect food and taking away all the bad food for him and everything. And his guts were never balanced. When she would do the biome test, it would always be off. And we went to his home and he had these, you have the Hartman nodes and the Carey nodes. You have all these grids, which people now in the field, they sort of know what they are. And he was having a node exactly on top of his guts and on his heart. And he was spending, because he was autistic, was spending most of his day, even awake, in his bed. And he had the high frequency coming from the room next door. And he had a dirty electricity on the low frequency electromagnetic wave. So his house was a mess. And what we did, we moved away the router, which was on the other side of the wall, but very close to him. We just put some filter for the dirty electricity. But the rest, what we did, we actually rebalanced his entire field. Didn't need to move the bed. That's energy that can be completely rewired. So you can be on a node and the node can be completely transformed into perfect energy. Yeah. This is what it is. And within 2 weeks, his biome was actually perfect. Wow. And, he's having less tics. He would sleep at night an hour earlier, wake up 2 hours later. And, his life was completely changed just by changing the field in his home. And we have ways to test with specific things when we do apply kinesiology to see if the person is really having these things on the body. One thing is in the environment. Two thing is it's within me, because it has made its place in me, making me congested. And having an organ or a chakra or acupuncture meridian or a vertebra having the energy of the congested energy that I live within. right? Whether it comes from, underground faults, or whether it comes from water, as I explained, or whether it comes from router or from whatever, we have this energy that is within us. And, after 25 years of incredible work, Carlo Cortella was able to identify this molecule, this macromolecule, which he called magma 13, just because probably we're going to call it something else in the future. The 13 doesn't mean anything aside from the energy of the number. And that has literally the ability to recognize congestion and through its millions of toroid, clean this energy and get it out at the highest order. And so everything around then becomes centered. You put something in the room, and all of a sudden, the mundus of the room becomes in the middle and is completely clear. You put it on, and it has that feel. We have a mat that you put underneath your bed, and it creates an incredible unified field of pure information. And so Magma 13 is so incredible for the environment. It's so incredible for us. It's not a therapeutic it's not a therapeutic material. What it does, it creates the most perfect field, so you do your own therapeutics. This is the beauty of that. It's so aligned with the chiropractic philosophy that we always spoke about. And we know that it reduces these environmental radiations. We know it protects, it just reduces this entropy, this chaos, right? And it reduces the electromagnetic stress, because you might still have the router completely in. But if you measure the environment, the router doesn't create chaos anymore in the environment. This is the beauty of it, so you can use your Wi-Fi inside the place, and unless you are really within 4 meters, and therefore the high frequency really disturbs you. But if the router is, in 3 rooms away, the actual congestion in the field that is created by the router is completely gone. Actually, you can have almost like a temple in your place, even though you have a router, even though you use radio waves for your speakers and all the technology that we use nowadays, right? And obviously it neutralizes all the geopathic stress, as we have seen in the kids, and it creates biocompatibility. It means you are in a place and that place really feels great. And this is the regeneration room where now all my patients, after I adjust them, after I treat them, they all go in. And I have incredible results, because instead of taking me 3-4 times for an acute low back pain, 2 times is gone. You have athletes that, literally they come up after playing a soccer game with their muscle all tight, just because they're full of interleukin-6 and all those inflammatory things that you produce when you do sports. And you treat them, they go in the room, 15 minutes, literally 15-20 minutes, they come out and they feel like, oh my God, this is how I feel 2 days after a game, not 30-40 minutes after a game, and this all self-healing. We've done this research with Dr. Professor Carlo Ventura, one of the 4th more published researcher, medical doctor, cardiologist, university teacher in stem cell in Europe. He published in Nature. At the Istituto Nazionale di Ricerca, is the top institute of research in Bologna in Italy. We saw him, one of his research on the effect on cells, on stem cells of the electromagnetic field, the dense energy, right? So we said, oh, this guy understands what we're talking about. Let's connect with him. And when we told him, listen, we have something that actually is not dense energy, is subtle energy. We call it natural ambient energy. And we see these incredible clinical results with people, like they put it in their homes and all of a sudden they're not tired anymore. They're like, they feel so much better. They communicate in couples so much better. They evolve as people. And we see it in the office, where we literally have increased range of motion of 20-30 degrees just by being in the regeneration room, or flexibility in the spine, or half of the tension in the spine and subluxation, what we call, they're gone after 20 minutes of the regeneration room, even before the treatment. And we said, it must be measurable. You must be able to measure that, and he has these incredible ways of measure markers within the stem cells. So, he did this research, and, we are now on the phase 2 and phase 3 of the research, because the feasibility study and the phase 1 were so incredible. He repeated some tests at his own expenses because the results were so incredible in the self-healing abilities. He was saying, Dominique, it's like almost like the cell has this natural innate ability to heal because we're not giving him anything like any drugs or anything, and they make these incredible changes. You know, he was speaking more as a chiropractor than some of our chiropractors. And we have measured, you know, he has measured because, you know, we didn't do research, he did, and he was double blind. So imagine a little regeneration room that we made 50 by 50 with the magma 13 inside, this polymer, this macromolecule, natural one. And then we gave him another one that was empty, only wood. So when the researcher would do the research, they would not know where they put the stuff, if they put in the real one or the fake one. So we have a control study, double blind and everything else. And they proved that the cells regenerate more. They proved that there is an increased resistance of the nerve cells to stressors. They prove that the expression of the gene changes for the better, like the epigenetics of it. They prove like the DNA ages slower, the senescence, the becoming old of the cells it's delayed, and he has all these anti-inflammatory effects. It was incredible. Like, you know, for some of you, maybe you're not into this, but I am. The brain is formed by neurons, right? The brain cells. That is formed by glial cells, which are sort of like the immune system of the brain, right? And every cell has an architecture, as what we call tubulin, microtubulin, that holds the cells together. But it's not only around, it's everywhere inside. And actually, when we know that the real brain of the cell is actually the membrane, as Bruce Lipton has taught us for so many years. And when the receptor on the cell measures that there is a need for a reaction, these microtubules, through changes in structure, because they're basically proteins, they change their field and they give the information instantaneously to the nucleus. It's not only this mechanical thing that this substance gets produced and then slowly goes to the nucleus and then another slowly goes out. It's all a intercommunication system, like the wiring of your home, literally. Yeah. And we have proven that when the cells were exposed to magma 13 energies, right, they maintain a healthier structure. They were able to the transport inside the cell of this information was incredibly enhanced, and the neural cell was protected so much more. But there was like other things that were incredible, like this marker, which is called P27, which is a marker that shows the decreased susceptibility of the cells to stressor. And they say it's incredible the effect on the cells and the different cells on the cells, which for you people listening, listen carefully. Some of the cells, to work better, they have to have less of this marker. Some of the cells, like the glial cells, some of the cells, or like neurons, to work better, they have to have more. That's why they cannot give medications that stimulates the 57, because it will do good to some of the cells and bad to some of the cells. He said, it's incredible. When they're exposed to a pure energy field, it is said, where it's supposed to decrease, it decreases. Where it's supposed to increase, it increases. Like if they have this innate ability to heal. And like, listen, look at this. This is most amazing. P53 is a protector of the cell DNA when it replicates. So you don't make mistakes when you replicate. So your cell can stay healthy, right? They say, wow, if we would have, we don't, a medication that increases by 10% or 15% P53 marker within the nucleus of the cell. If we had that, we would be multi-gazillionaires, because, you know, it would be the drug of the century, right? After 72 hours in the regeneration room, it increases by 200% inside the cells, made by the cell without side effects. That's the protection that you wear on your neck right now, Martin. And he said, and because the stem cells are so delicate, they're still undifferentiated. When you give them something, very often other things go wrong. So when we do research, because we are all into researching about making stem cells live longer, right? Because if I make an injection of stem cells to repair a tissue, if I can save You know, when you make an injection, 90% of them die immediately. If only like we can save 10% more or make them 10% live longer, he said it would be incredible for medicine and regeneration medicine. He said, we repeated this test at our own expenses 13 times just because you called it Magma 13. We called research from different labs. They didn't know what we were researching, and it came out to 200% every time.
Wow.
Literally every time.
Wow.
And without any other of the markers becoming bad. He said the cell knows what to do good and doesn't do anything bad if it's in a perfect field. And this is what Magma 38 creates. You know, we know mobile phones, for example, you know, they inhibit this p53, which then makes the cell, you know, duplicate worse. And that's why we get some of the challenges that we have. We were making this measurement with 2Gs and 3Gs, where it was like so less powerful, right? So many years ago, but it was because of the subtle energy. Yeah. So we know now it improves proteins expression. We know it helps the body moves energy in a better way. And we tested so many markers, and you see all this beautiful green is when it decreases when it was supposed to, or increase when it was supposed to, thanks to salts, thanks to Magma 13. And so he concluded, right? It's optimization of cellular homeostasis, right? Favorable adaptogenic patterns, optimization of cell polarity, downregulation of the expression of things that they are called aging, inflammation, tissue degeneration. This is proving what for thousands of years people knew, right? Well, Magma 13 is literally the most powerful thing that we have tested so far. Nothing has even come close, but it was able, therefore, to be proven what we knew when we were building the houses in the right spot and not where there was a mud before, or whatever they were doing before. And so, you know, when you have a natural ambient energy, you know, we made research, for example, where we treated the places just with the Magma 13 and harmonizing the place, and all of a sudden their heart rate variability became perfect, and their sympathetic and parasympathetic system became centered. This is the beauty of it. We use, for example, I don't know if you have many people doing bioresonance over there, you know, with bioresonance machines. We measure the before and after the Magma 13. You would be impressed. I had this guy that has this incredible 100,000 euros machine. He said, I probably won't use it anymore. I would just measure before and after, because after 20 minutes, what gets better is incredible. And I do not have to choose the treatment. It's the person that chooses the treatment, because the person is too parasympathetic, you know, too down, becomes center. The person is too stressed and too sympathetic, gets center. It's like your system in the perfect environment balances itself. Everything. If you have too much coagulation pattern, all of a sudden you go this way. If you have too, you go this way. Everything gets balanced back, which is exactly that center. Carlo Cortella called it co-localization, K effect from causal Cortella, which is his name, basically. Wow. So we know that we have material. For example, look at this air filter, right? We talk about dense energy, pollution. You know, we have this machine that is incredible at taking away pollution. But this machine is the only one in the world that has Magma 13 inside. So when the air comes out, the air gets organized when it comes out.
Wow.
And you remember these pictures where you have the crystallization in water? You see all over the world? 90% of those pictures they see in the world are from our lab. Because Carlo Cortella was the director of the Vision Lab in Zurich that was doing 90% of all the pictures you see in the world of crystallization are from him. He was director of all the crystallization scientific protocols in Zurich, in Switzerland. And do you see, after 15 minutes, the crystallization, how it became better from a sacred water. This was already a water from a natural falls. And this was a water that was put in front of the bionizer, in front of the air filter. And it was getting organized just by the subtle energy of the air that was hitting. Obviously, the air was not going inside the water, right? Because it was stopped by the thing. But what, in this case, was glass and not this special plastic that doesn't lose the shit. And so What goes through it? What organizes this? This is energy. And that's why we have now, for example, these things that you can put or at the beginning of your home, like of the water of your home, or on the faucet. Listen to this. There's this Ukraine university. It calls us up. It's 2019, right? It says, we want to do research with your structured water. So we send one of those, and then we forgot about them because, you know, COVID happens. We didn't hear from them. And then in November 2021, I said, hey, we did the research. We published. It says, what did you publish? It's like, we didn't hear. It's all in Ukraine or something. It says, we took fields, right? You know, Ukraine is famous for making all this food, you know, and stuff. And so we took fields and we gave normal water, and then we gave water with, you know, vitamins and minerals. Then we gave water, your structure soul's water, right? Well, guess what? This was the control with the vitamins and minerals, 22% increase of production. With the structure, salts water, 42% increase in production, agriculture production. Not only said, but we measured the water was coming out of the actual, you know, dirt. And he said, and your water was the one who was able to drain all the toxins better. Now, your water never gets in contact with this. This is not inside the water. It's just energizing the water outside. We were able to really prove these things. When you have energized water, then you have this perfect crystallization of all these minerals within your water that makes you be more digestible, right? And this is incredible. I give you, for example, I just put one of these at the entrance of my swimming pool. And my water inside the swimming pool is basically sacred water. I go in there and it just feels like I'm bathing in this field of incredible energized water, aside from drinking it, taking a shower, cleaning my vegetables with it. I mean, this is what you can do. You can literally have that. And again, we said, what about, okay, so we know energized water. Now we know the effects inside the regeneration room, which is incredibly powerful. We have now people that buy the 1 by 1, 1 meter by 1 meter, or 1 meter by 2 meters room. There are different kind of sizes. And we have incredible story. There's this person that was clinically depressed, this wife, clinically depressed for 30 years, very wealthy family, gone to all the clinics in the world, all the specialists in the world, nothing helped. They took a regeneration, they bought it, and after, I remember if it was 4 or 6 months going 30 minutes every day, she cured herself. So being in that field of perfect energy allowed her completely at age 65, 68. So it's like after 30 years of clinical deep depression, she feels perfectly fine. I mean, you know, this is the healing that can happen in a healthy environment. These like energetically not healthy because, yeah, you breathe great air, but energetically healthy. And, you know, when we talk about the seed, the thing you have on, right? It looks like, oh, this little thing or whatever, this gadget. It's not a gadget. Aside from all the tests that I'm doing, and it's incredible how much is already helping you heal on a regular basis. But we said to Carlo Ventura, there's all the Carlo around me. And I said, why don't we do a research with this, right? So you're not really, because in the regeneration room is like if you go inside it, right? Because you have it all around. But what does it do if it's just next to you, right? And he did just this research, and I'm going to give you just little results. But for example, he took some cells from some stem cells from the skin, and he cut them, and then he put them all around in petri dish, all around this seed. Of course, he had also a control group with a seed that was empty, just the you know, the outside, but no magma 13 inside. And look at the difference after a few days of the healing that happened in the cell that was exposed to magma 13 energy compared to none. It's increasing your speed of regeneration of your cells when you cut yourself. The seed 20 centimeters away. You know, this, whatever your eyes on your neck creates literally a coherent field about 40 centimeters from it. So it's taking your brain, all your guts, the front and back. This is why it's so powerful, right? Or they measure the kinase. The kinase are some enzymes that they help the body stay healthy. They help the detoxification patterns. They help the DNA stay younger. They decrease the inflammation. And look at the increase of kinase inside the cells that were actually in the presence of magma 13. So it's just, well, these are just things about kinase. And so when we created these incredible, it's like, it looks like a mattresses, right? It's just very, very thin. and you put it underneath your mattress. Let me show you a picture. You put it underneath your mattress, right? And it creates a unified feel, and you sleep in it for 7 hours a day. We have anecdotal, right now we're going to do a study on it, but we have this anecdotal, incredible. People sleep longer in their first deep sleep. They have less apnea. They wake up. I had a patient, she's 70 something, and she has a narrow canal in the low back. She already received injections. She's in regular care, but that thing is painful. They don't want to make surgery on her for whatever reasons. She bought it. And after a week of sleeping on it, she wakes up in the morning. It's incredible the amount of less pain that I have in the morning, because it helps your body. The right wording is it helps your body take care better of your own inflammation. It's not that it takes away inflammation from you, because if you don't have any, that's not something you're going to do, right? And this is really the innate power of it. It basically creates, you are not only in nature when you sleep on top of a mat like that, but you are in the most perfect place in nature, in one of those sacred spots, right? It's like, because your field is so unified, and yeah, that's just amazing in my opinion. We all have houses now and places we live, they're literally crooked, and you can really protect it. We are about creating these incredible environments where you can give your best, be your best. Imagine if you want to have a child, and for the last 3 months you sleep in a bed like that, and all of a sudden your DNA is the perfect DNA when you produce the ovum. Imagine when you are the sperm that is like the most perfect sperm, just because you live on, and then you make a child. Imagine what that child, it's great karma for sure. Magma 13 is unbelievable. And when we speak about, right, this is one of the tenets of our profession. We say that universal intelligence is inside all matter and continuously gives to it all its properties and actions, thus maintaining it in existence. That's what it does. So, but what if I deliver an adjustment in a completely clogged up room? What if you go home and then you go and sleep in a completely clogged bed? How much of that incredible thing that you did because you are eating the perfect vitamins, because you go to your psychologist and you do incredible work in understanding what's going on in your life, or you go to the best chiropractor or osteopath or who knows what, and you have your spine clear, and then you go to your old patterns of completely congested energy, and then you recreate your tensions again. That's such a pity, because now we have the technology, we know, we prove it. It's just a matter of you really realize that you can have an incredible environment, completely clear, completely syntropic. It's just wonderful. I'm just so excited about having been able to prove it, so people can say, we have now a head of souls. We have now one of the top engineers of the world. The engineers would be the most skeptical about this sort of, right? Because, they are very left brain, very logical or something like that. This guy used to have 40,000 engineers underneath him, right? Harold Vester. He used to be the CEO of Maserati. He saved Maserati from failure. He used to work now for Stellantis until 2 months ago. He had proposition to go and welcome in all the boards of these incredible companies. And he said, no, I've tried Magma 13. It's incredible. I've seen the research. This needs to go out to the world. I'm going to be becoming part, and I'm going to invest in your company, becoming part of your boards. You have now people that usually would have been very skeptical about this, understanding why this is so great, understanding why it's so important to have a great place to be with. This is like a classical image of a spectral video, hyperspectrum video, where you see all this angular movement of the left side. You see that? This angular red. Red, it's the color because it's just very entropic, very chaotic. And then the same room, just with inside couple of souls, things becomes all green and blue, because it's the measurement of the mathematics of when it's becoming syntropic. And we get this cancellation of entropy, like if you are in the perfect place in nature, not just in nature, in the perfect place in nature, inside your home, while you're having your Wi-Fi, while you're having your work, while you're stressing out, and your place, it's completely calm. I have patients that before surgery, they come and they just do, for example, the regeneration room, just before surgery or right after surgery. I had a patient, she went for a nose polyps, and after 2 weeks, no, it was a month. After a month of the surgery, she was taking cortisone by mouth and by nose because the nose was completely clogged. She couldn't breathe because so much inflammation, and nothing was taken away, literally cortisone everywhere. She came to me, I gave her a network adjustment, and then she went into the regeneration room. She left 15 minutes. She goes, this is not possible. I'm just breathing perfectly. And he says, yeah, this is self-healing of your own inflammation. And I saw a month later, said, it stayed like that. It was just open. I just took off all the cortisone. I didn't need it. Like, this is the possibility of feeling that people have when they live in their environment and being pure, when they sleep on this life biome, in this magma 13 material. This is where they go to practices. Now we have more and more practices that they have the regeneration room, so that we can have people heal so much faster because of it. And it gives me great joy because it gives me, it's almost like going back to the tenets of chiropractic, where we really spoke about self-healing, where we really spoke about, it's not me, the doctor, that is adjusting you and therefore curing you. It's how you react to my adjustment. It's how your innate reacts to my adjustment that makes you healthier. It's how your innate reacts to be in a perfect field of influence, or next to a person that has this incredible field like you have right now, just because you're wearing a seat, all of a sudden, just by being in your presence, you are already in your field so clear that thanks to what you're supported with, you are a tuning fork of pure health. That on top of you being who you are already in your spiritual path, that on top of being you having a clear spine, that on top of being you eating so healthy, like I know you because I know you since so many years, you have so many fields of information that they're so aligned with truth, they're so aligned with what's supposed to be, that just entering your office, you start this healing pattern, right? And if you can enhance it when you go home or when you go around the city, right? Now, many cities have G5, right? So you have these, of course, you have this very high frequency, which is absolutely not good. But remember, you have this incredible polluted field of subtle energy inside and around you. Plus you're wearing this, you're having this, plus whatever else. You go inside your car, and your car has all these high frequency things speaking to one another, right? Or where you are in in space, or where you are in the city. Guys, why do you think you are in space? It's because your car has always a Wi-Fi on that is shooting up to the satellite. You are into that thing. So do you want to be into your car and be completely in a place that you are like in the middle of the forest in terms of the field? Or you want to get sick like everybody else? I mean, that's the choice. Nowadays, we have a choice. And this is what gives me joy, because, my business is chiropractic. I love to see my patients. I have 800 patients that they follow me since years now. I see them every 2 weeks, every 4 weeks. We work at, I call them multi-layer patients. I work in, emotionally, biochemistry, mentally, bionomics, and everything else. But it just became a passion, just because I realized so much now can be done, and we found a way to do it. So hopefully, you could perceive this joy. It saved my life. I literally, I did too much sports when I was young, and I quit all of a sudden. And so when that happens in somebody who is predisposed genetically, like I was, you can start having major amount of extrasystole in your heart when you have two close beats, and then you have a longer one afterwards, like doom, 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 doom. And then I start developing fibrillation, where my heart would completely loses its rhythms. And, like there you need to have surgery. I did 4 of them that were supposed to work, never worked. And by fixing the environment, by putting the filters for the dirty electricity, but especially by living in an environment that is conducive to the highest level of health. Since I put this mattress underneath, I don't know if anybody here knows about Ayurvedic medicine. My condition, Ayurvedic medicine, is where Vata, which is one of the 3 doshas of Ayurveda, enters and invades Pitta, which is the energy, of the heart and the muscle of the heart. And then that's when you have troubles. Well, Vata is very much disturbed by very high wind. When you have very high wind, that's what happens. So if there would be very high wind outside, my heart would be more edgy. I would have more extra systole, or even have a hard time sleeping at night and stuff. Since I have the magma 13 energy, I don't feel anything of that wind. There can be like 100 kilometers an hour outside, and I'm going in my bed. I go almost like into a bubble of perfection. And it helps me so much. So saved my life for sure. You know, and hopefully it's gonna help some of your listeners' life, and I know it's helping you right now because I see it. So
and I had back home things, and also here in the office as well. There's no time. I had a Oyas tree and power.
Exactly. So now
amplifying the ambient energy
is just incredible. It literally is just incredible. We are just enjoying ourselves, helping people. Just want to show you one last thing if I can. Let me see here. And let me go to my presentation. Let's see if I can find it for you, because I promise I would, because most people have never seen something like this, and I want you to see it. So I'm going to show you something very special if I can.
Yeah.
Let me do this. Oh, maybe I will need to. Okay, so let me do this. Okay, so I'm going to go in full screen mode. Let's see if I can do that, because this way I can play the actual, so share screen, and it's going to be, I guess, this one. Let's see, and share screen. So now you see my entire screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I see your that we see the slide.
Now you see my slide, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So here it's a room. This is a room, and maybe you see a little bit of moving around inside the slide, right? Well, that's dark because you see this. This is the hyperspectrum is measuring the dark energy. So when it's dark, that means there is little energy, right? And it's like the magnitude of energy. And then the more is red, the more is inflamed. And the more is green and blue, the more is organized. And this was a room where you had so little energy, right? Because you almost don't see anything. This was a room, you see here, it's like all this green and stuff going into this red, just because we put some of the material of the magma 13. It became life again. All of a sudden, he has a lot of energy. Or like, this is a school that has this train passing by. So he has this dense, low frequency energy, making the entire place completely entropic. You see this 40,000, that's the measurement of the machine. And you see these peaks, right? Because the worst for our nervous system is not a linear chaotic thing. It's a chaotic thing that keeps on going up and down, and it creates incredible stress within us. And as soon as we put this 1.40 meter magma 13 thing in the middle, all of a sudden for 30 meters, the entire place is literally -3 of entropy. So basically zero, less than zero entropy. So perfect organization of the system. The owner of this school said kids for years never played in the grounds outside. They never understood why. And we put it during Saturday and Sunday, and on Monday, kids, they didn't know. It looks like a statue to them. They were not explained. In the first break, the whole school went inside the actual school's yard, and they start playing and things. He said, he was crying out of joy. Here, for example, you see the entropy. Look how high the entropy goes, 140,000. You know what was happening here? The Wi-Fi was on. So I told you, when you have the Wi-Fi on, you make all this disturbance in photons energy. Photons is right what's in between the physical world and the energy world, right? Because the photon is sometimes a wave, sometimes a particle, depending on how you see it. So it's really in the between. So when you measure photons, you're measuring energy, literally, that is not physical energy. So this is before putting the actual thing, and this is afterwards. Afterwards, you had like so little entropy, and the person was still working with the Wi-Fi on.
Mm.
But he was not suffering from this. This is the beauty of it. Or here is a bed where you sleep and it's full of entropy, where you're supposed to rest and recuperate for your night, and you're supposed to have your waves going down so that your brain can go to 2 hertz and start really cleansing and memorizing what you studied during the day. For all these children that they study so hard at night, we put this working memory that we put here in the brain, we put it right in the hippocampus inside the brain while we are in deep sleep. And that's why when you are so sleeping in a chaotic environment, you create all these less hours of deep sleep. So basically your hours of study, you know, you decrease the efficacy because of where you sleep. And look at afterwards, the bed was completely green, was much better. And if you look at the entropy, it was almost zero. I mean, this is power. Look at this. This is the energy you're going to see. You see that dark? It's attracted inside the thyroid, and then pure energy comes out. It's attracted. Now it's repeated all the time, but you can really see this energy going in, like the thyroid. It goes in, gets transformed, and it goes out as clear energy with very minimal entropy. That's what it does all the time. Magma 13 doesn't get congested. It's not crystal. Okay, magma 13 keeps on cleansing itself. Is an active, and it uses congestion to stay on. This material that we put inside our home, we made them like in 2018, the first one. Now we are like 5 years. They haven't lost 1% of their efficacy. Wow. 5 years afterwards, you don't have to change. We don't see how that's you're going to give it to your children. The children is going to give it to your children for sure.
And this is the Ojas.
No, that's the magma 13. Ojas is just one part of the process of energization of this material, but it's basically magma 13 technology, which uses a part of the Ojas energy. That's Carlo Cortella. Behind we have this magma art, which is a panel that organizes photons inside place. So this is very often used in places where artists work, in offices where you need to really be brilliant at the way you process information. We have this, but this is also art. It's not only energy. It creates energy. I have one in my office. It's really beautiful. Or you have, for example, you know, this incredible little thing, which is magma 13. It purifies the field about 1 meter away. So you put it in front of your computer, like I had it right now, right? Or you wear it in a car, you put it next to you, and on top of it, it has this ability to really decongest areas. You can literally use it where you have pains and stuff. That's the beauty of it. Or you have the bionizer with this energy, or you have the water with this energy, you know, like literally, if somebody is interested, it's enough that they call or they write an email at info@saltsociety.swiss. You just mention, please, Welledge, because you're all coming from our friend, one and only Martin Franzen. And so this way we know where that's coming from. But please, 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 these things are creating an incredible change. They're, for now, life-lasting. You know, it's not something you got to update in 5 years or 10 years. You don't have to rebuy it. I mean, you use it. My regeneration room after 2 years, it's just perfectly incredible. And so, yeah, so this is me telling you, energy, natural ambient energy, is as real as the chair you're sitting on, is as real as the arm that you're touching, is as real as the adjustment you receive in the chiropractic office. I mean, let's really cherish it. Let's really recognize that it can be really be damaged. It can really be toxic. It can be not supporting your life. And let's create these incredible harmonic spaces to live in. I mean, my dream is that I get to be able to put magma 13 in parliaments where people actually are taking great decisions. We have now some hospitals. We just created, we just put some of our technology inside a delivery room in one of the private hospitals here in town. I mean, we put it in schools, right? It's like all these places where they can make a huge difference. You try to heal, and you're in a hospital. Can you imagine, like, with all these electromagnetic disturbances and everything else? Yes, of course, your body's still gonna heal, but how? How well after a surgery, you know? How much of the delay in healing or the non-success are actually due to what you have now learned? When I see when I see when you are in the perfect environment, how much your cell can already do it on its own, how much you can do it on its own. I had this girl, she's 23. She used to do ballet dancing. And I opened her legs to see how much abductions she could do, right? At the end of my treatment, she's in care since she's a kid. And she has only 70 degrees. And I said, you did ballet and you're 70 degrees? After my adjustment, what happened to you? Says, I don't know. Throughout the years, even though I do stretching and everything else, it's like it never goes back to be what it used to be, where I used to be able to do like a complete whatever, you know? And I said, well, I just adjusted you, so it must be energetic because it cannot be physical. And we just did all the work. You do well and everything. So let's see what happened in the regeneration room. She went into the regeneration room for 15 minutes. I went in there, I opened her legs, 140 degrees from 7. And then I saw her, I see her every 3 months or so because she's basically healthy. And so that's why she wants to stay that way. That's why she comes, she comes regularly. And she said, Dominique, it stayed 140. I never had to do any stretching, anything else. I mean, this is how I'm back. So that was a healing from a subtle natural ambient energy within her that allow her to let go of some tension immediately. Something can be immediate. Remember, some of our teachers in the past used to say healing can be instantaneous. You know, it doesn't have to be this long. Maybe then the body takes a while for, to take every cells and cleanse them, or, take any tissue and make the healing process. But healing is instantaneous. Healing is when you get the code. I couldn't understand what it meant to be centered. All of a sudden now I do, and I center myself. That's healing. This is where your system now knows what to do. It's almost, I can read that email. I can get that information in the cloud. People tell me, oh, I don't believe in these things. I say, yeah, but where do you store your things? Oh, I store them in the cloud. They say, well, what is the cloud? How is it going there? By some electromagnetic signal that goes somewhere, and maybe is stored somewhere in the United States, and you in a nanosecond, you get it on your phone. Isn't that weird? Could you, imagine if you told that 100 years ago to somebody, you probably on some wood and putting light on fire, And so it's like, literally, you can have this recognition of this universal intelligence, this unified field of information that has inside all the information to create life, that animates our body, and you can recognize it. That's when healing happens. And then this is the process. And sometimes even the outside manifestation is instantaneously, that guy that came in antalgic became healthy, or her girl with this incredible change in thing, or sleeping better or whatever. And sometimes it may take a week, like in the woman that she had this huge pain in the back because of the narrow canal that stayed narrow, but somehow, she doesn't feel the pain anymore just because she can be working so much better. And sometimes it may take weeks, or it may take, like this woman, it took her 6 months to heal from such a deep brain disorganization that she had. So my wish for you, for all of you, is to really take what I share with you and really act, like really make sure that you get what you need to get to go around. You take the seed, we call it like at least this personal re-energization. Like you want to have a seed to have around, you want to have an array to have like in front of your computer, or where you go around with your car, right? Hopefully you will want to have a sleeping mat so that during the night you can really regenerate well. And then the rest is plus, right? You want to have this incredible water, energized water. You want to breathe air that has no heavy metal in it because there's no fine dust, and it cleanses. And hopefully people will want to have those apparatus inside their home, where you go inside the home, people says, man, I go in here and it feels so clean. And I clean like everybody else. I'm pretty sure I clean like my doctor next door neighbor, but it's not clean because, there is less dust because I have all these filters, but it's clean because the energy is clean and it's beautiful. And I wish for all of you to live an environment like that. I wish for all of you to know what it feels to live an environment where your cell can vibrate at the highest level and know you're connected. Yeah, the ideas comes down quicker. Your healing is better. You just more joyful. Of course, you're going to have your stuff like everybody else, like I have, but you linger in it much less because your system can bounce back so much faster. And we know that. We know that with chiropractic because, that's what we have, basically explained. And our patients now, for me, it's 35 years I work, right? And now I can tell you also about the field, and the field is huge. It's important because it just It goes wherever you go.
Yeah.
You cannot escape from this field if it's congested. And at the same time, you can never be alone from these incredible healing codes that come from the greater architect of the universe, from this unified field of information that are always available to you. You don't have to do a path of healing to be exposed to them. They are already right now with you. You know, it's up to you to have the environment within to be able to read them, to act on them, to have the energy. You know, remember we always say you need to have the strategies and the energy. Once you know what to do and you have the energy to do it, then it happens.
Yeah.
Well, Magma 13 is exactly what he does. He has humongous amount of energy. Yeah. And he has incredible alignment and he has incredible information within to regenerate all these patterns. That's what he does. And so, yeah. So happy that you allow me to share these things I'm so passionate about. Do you have
my pleasure. My pleasure. And yeah, you had a slide with the details to contact the Soul Society and so, but I will put that underneath on the blog and in the pod and on YouTube. So get to contact.
For people to be able to really get this information and get this material, get this incredible, this incredible genius. He should win the Nobel Prize, literally, you know.
Like, I hope,
hopefully, you know, imagine this together with medicine. Imagine, you know, I know it with chiropractic, but imagine even with medicine, if you can do surgery and then be exposed to this energy and heal so much better, so much faster, maybe less.
I mean, I can just say that I continuously upgrade my office, and since the upgrade with the Oyas and your technologies, it continuously people say it's more and more peaceful. There's such a space to be here, and now it's just like next level. And there's so many things that doesn't show up when I check in people. There are indicators that no longer. It's like just coming into my space. But
I always say to my patients, you know, when your field is already so great, what I see are your primary patterns.
Yeah, exactly.
And not all the noise around, because in a perfect field, everything is already in the healing process. And so the little things, they just go away already.
Yeah.
And so when you come in, like you just exactly said, you know, when you come in, then all of a sudden you see what's important, and then you can really focus. I have those 15 minutes for you. I really want to make sure that I find out your primary patterns so that you can connect better in a chiropractic way to these codes together with my other team. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you.
I hope this will be shared out, and I hope people continue to share it forward to people that need to see it. And also, I hope to get to do another one with you in the future.
Yeah, anytime.
Have you over here to Welledge in Old Town, Stockholm, so we can have a seminar and invite people.
Absolutely. Eventually, we're going to start teaching even for doctors how they can recognize these things in their patients and stuff. But the technology now is so powerful that it's really enough to wear and to breathe and to be in contact with this great energy inside your home and where you work, because this you can carry it around, right? You go to your office, you put it in front of your desk, and you take this goes around with me all the time. It's like my life Bayan for sleeping. It's just one of those incredible things. Because of my heart condition, I used to have like this little apprehension about going and travel and going to a hotel room, which are really usually the worst congested area, because you have all the energy of the people that slept in it 2, 3 days, 5 days before. You have all this Wi-Fi, these 17 gazillions of lights with energy every day, you know, right? So now I carry it with me. It's inside my luggage. I just put it underneath, and all of a sudden my bedroom, hotel, whatever, you know, it's just perfect. You go to holiday and you sleep in a freaking congested room thinking that you're resting. And instead I do, because I have this technology that can travel with me. So I'm very, very happy.
That's wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you ever so much for your time and all the blessings, all the knowledge that you share to us. And we'll end the recording here now. Thank you.